Hey, good afternoon, friends. This is artist in residence Matt with Art with a Heart in Healthcare. I'm going to go through the process today for making this fun, colorful apple. This is a great project for beginners. We're going to be using oil pastels. We've got a pretty decent range, but you can do it with just a few colors. You probably need yellow, red, maybe some orange. For this, the background we use blue and brown, and definitely some blue and purple too, like a dark blue for the shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a lighter color just to kind of get an idea of where my apple is going to be on my paper. So I'll do a quick little sketch here, and it'll also help to start working on some of the lighting in the project. I like to start light and then get darker. For tools today, you just really need the oil pastels and paper. You don't really need much else. You can sketch it out first with an apple, or I'm sorry, with a pencil, but that's not totally necessary. So I started with the yellow, now I'm using an orange, and it's starting to get a little bit darker. Now for blending this project today, I'm just using my fingers, but other effective uses are like a Q-tip. You can use a little bit of baby oil on a Q-tip or a tissue, or one of those fancy blender sticks that you get from the art supply store. Those work really well too. But I'm just gonna get my hands dirty here a little bit. Use my fingers because it's fun. You probably noticed that I'm moving a little quickly this time, and that is because I shot this video and then sped it up a little bit because I realized that if you all are following this tutorial, you can pause it and rewind it, and there's no need to make a super long video. We have the power of pause now. So I want to start thinking about where the lighting is going to be coming from. In this image, the lighting we have is coming from the left-hand side, and the shadow is being cast on the right-hand side. So we've got that highlight, that super highlight on the left hand, and then we've got like a rim lighting from maybe another source, like an ambient source on the right side. So when I add my shadow to the right, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. And when I add my highlights to the left, I don't want to darken it up. So I just kind of making a really quick little light spot here, kind of blocking out where that highlight's going to be so I don't darken it too much. And then I'm going to use my purple to figure out where some of the darker spots are going to be. So we've got it on the right hand side here, and then a little bit towards the top, just to show how, that indent at the top of the fruit there. So just a quick little blotching of some purple here, just so I don't forget about it. And then start working on my red. Start laying this stuff down, and I'm making short, tiny little strokes, almost like I'm painting, making short, tiny little strokes with the oil pastel, just slowly adding color to it. I'm working my way again from light to dark. It's always good to use a reference like a photograph or a painting or something that you can pull your ideas from, and that'll help you practice and understand how lighting is handled in different situations by different artists. Again, there's no real wrong way to do this. There are definitely ways that have been tried and can be learned from. This is just one technique. This isn't what I would consider like a realistic illustration, but it's fun and it's colorful and it conveys the idea. It's a great way to start practicing making art. So you see we added the stem there. We just used some brown for the stem. Pretty simple stuff. And I'm just going to go in adding more of a red, like a more saturated red, like a fire engine red. And I'm kind of being a little silly here and going all over the place, but normally when you're laying down oil pastels or in a lot of mediums, it's kind of the same. You want to think about the shape of the object and move your medium, like the brush or the pastel, in the direction of that object, like you're sculpting it almost. And as you can see, I'm just using my fingers still to blend this out. And I'm starting to add some purple to the shadow. I've fallen in love with using purple for my shadows. One of my dear coworkers suggested this to me, and I've been hooked on it for months now. It's a lot of fun. Purple makes great shadows. In this situation, I could have gone all the way up to the edge of the fruit, I suppose, especially down towards the bottom to really accentuate that shadow some more. But I'm still happy with it. It was meant to be bright and colorful, and I think we got the job done. So just to see how the apple is coming along, I sort of work on pieces at a time and add some color, blend it in, add some color, blend it in, see how it's looking. Starting to really take shape now. As I get closer to this highlighted area, I'm going to want to start working with some lighter colors. So there's a yellow, and as you can see, the yellow also, since it's a lighter color, is kind of pulling some of that red in and blending it in. This is a good technique. I mean, it works. It'll make a mess out of your pastels, but it'll still work. And adding some lighter area to the top of the apple too there, so it's a little bit brighter. Sort of show that little pop, that little round shape on the other side next to the stem. And going back and forth and just kind of trying to fill the object out. Darken the right side of that stem. Darken that little dimple on top of the apple there where the stem pops out. Just using blue and purple again for the shadowed areas. Using a palette knife is another good way to blend your oil pastels. You can do it separately on another sheet of paper or like a palette and then apply it to the substrate, like the paper or the canvas or whatever. But it's not necessary. So I use that light blue to show where the back of the table is going to be. And now I'm just lightly putting in where the shadow I think is going to fall. It's going to be on that right side there. And then start to streak in some lines for the wooden table. You see, with the wood, I want to keep my movement left to right. It's going to be horizontal, so it shows that wood texture, hopefully. And I started dark with the wood table because I just wanted to really focus on where those grooves, texture on the table would be. But it's not necessary. Again, you can start with the lighter too. It's whatever you're feeling that day, I suppose. Just adding some more yellow to the highlighted areas. And some more shadow, some more purples and blues to those shadowed areas. So the apple's in a pretty good place, and I decided here to mostly focus on the table and just getting some of the wood grain in there. Again, this is a super easy project to do. You don't need to be an incredible experienced artist person to make something like this. It's just simple exercise in using color and some lighting techniques, some pretty basic lighting techniques. If I were to go back and do this again, I would say I would probably darken up that bottom right shadow on the apple to give it a little bit more weight on the table like I did in the original version. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So here I used the dark browns to carve out the initial part of the table. And then I'm using some white and light browns to sort of blend in and fill in the rest of it. I'm using the light browns to, lay down the basic color, and then the white more to blend than anything else, like blend the colors that are already there. Again, that white color is probably going to desaturate the table color, the browns a little bit, but that's okay. I really want my apple to stand out more than anything else here than the table, the background. Now I'm just adding some blue to the shadow. Again, I probably would have darkened up the apple a little bit more if I were to do this again, but I'm still happy with it. And I took some light blue to go around the outside of the apple to create sort of a background and like an edge where the apple is gonna, where the edge of the apple is to shape it out. And I have a tendency to rotate the project that I'm working on sometimes. It's just fun for me. It doesn't work when it's sitting on an easel, but it's a lot of fun. So I added some green in the back also to make a little bit more detail in the background and just to help our apple stand out a little bit more. If you've watched any of my other tutorials, you've probably seen that I do that a lot. I use warm colors in the foreground and cool colors in the background, like blues and greens. It's just a really easy way to use color to draw attention to certain elements of an art piece. It doesn't always have to work that way, though. So I'm spending a couple minutes here just adding some shape to my apple, and I really encourage you guys to experiment with this on objects, other fruit. Use photographs. Use real fruit. Draw from life. Those are some really great ways to learn, but definitely keep practicing if you want to learn more. I'm still learning, and I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you learned something with me, and if you haven't already, go check out our YouTube channel. Click on the link in our Facebook profile. Thank you all so much for your support and for stopping by, and I hope to see you again very soon. Stay creative.